Do it live on a Thursday that feels like a Friday edition. Merely Beau, the Great Z.
School's out for summer. That
It is
doesn't
what it
mean
feels
you have
like.
another day of school tomorrow. It feels like it should be on a Friday. I think, in fact, I'd say bad job by the NFL to have this always be a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday affair, because ending on Friday it would be joyous, and it was fun. It was a fun day out there. The Browns had a ton of alumni out there. A spirited practice. It was a lot of jocularity.
Yeah,
good day for the D. Watson had some great balls again. It was a fun day, but the highlight for me, and I think for Gibbe as well, and you vicariously through us, was seeing the great Jim Donovan was out at practice today, looking good, looking strong. That's what you that's what you worry about, right? That he starts to look frail. He looked very, very strong and said he was feeling good, and he's so far everything's responded very well for him. And it was just great to see him. And then after he said, kind of, how are you doing? He said, it's surprisingly much better than I thought. And then we just were hanging out talking about the Browns, and it was great, and couldn't be happier.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen him. I mean, it's that's something that you just want to embrace. The guy. He's the best.
Absolutely.
Absolutely the best. To see the voice and see him out here today was obviously very, very special for you guys.
Yeah.
And had I not been en route, would have been for me as well.
Of course.
Give me a feeling on, from an intensity standpoint, 1, 2, 3.
The days?
Yeah.
I think today was probably the least intense of the 3 days.
Yeah.
Day 1 was the most intense. Day 2, I thought the defense really tried to up their intensity a little bit. Here's the bottom line, and I've said it before, and I'm going to keep saying it because it's really all we can do at this point. You talk to anybody on this team, you talk to any coach on this team, you start talking about this football team, they are smiling ear to ear. They know what this team can be. It's going to be a matter of two things, right? Number one, staying healthy. Things can change very quickly if certain people get injured.
Yep.
Okay? So staying healthy. And number two, just executing, just being what we clearly are capable of being. And that coming through when it matters, right? This is a talented football team. You're talking about, the questions that you may have, what's weighing on your mind going to the Greenbrier. Obviously, you want to continue to see Deshaun be what we've seen and the fact that it feels like he is back.
What would be weighing on my mind is, have they updated the bathrooms?
That would be an important thing at the Greenbrier as well. Will there be a variety of food offerings, or are we going to be just Jerry West and a few cafes, a pizza place? Gerard was very concerned about the food already.
I'm aware of the food situation. That's a conversation for off the air.
Okay. All right. I'm sure we're going to be eating with the team. I mean, that just feels like the most likely scenario.
Well, you would think.
That doesn't seem like the most likely scenario to me.
I'm just going to throw that out there.
Then we'll be at Jerry West's.
Every day.
Breakfast,
lunch, dinner.
Fine.
You could run down to Sneed's for breakfast or lunch.
Sneed's is great. Yeah, absolutely. For a great lunch right on the golf course.
I would like the left side of the menu and expense it.
Jerry West. You can go take home a signed bottle of wine.
That.
You should. I have one.
So do I.
Yeah,
we did that. That honestly felt like a hell of a deal.
Felt like a great deal.
Yeah.
It was about the price you'd expect to pay for like a reasonably overpriced cab at a steakhouse.
Right.
And you got Jerry West's autograph. Bonus.
Yeah, I want to say it was like $150 for the bottle, which is exactly how you just so perfectly described by you.
Reasonably overpriced.
Reasonably overpriced cab that's what it is. That's the number. That, by the way, is the most frustrating thing in fine dining, is what they do with the wine. They do it more than in anything else. It's out of control.
Out of control.
It's out of control.
And it's one of those things that, as somebody who has worked hard to cultivate a collection at my house, like the fact, that more places don't have a corkage fee, and I understand why they don't have a corkage fee. But at the end of the day, if you have a corkage fee and you get enough people who are into it and say you call it 20 a pop, you're making all that. That's for nothing.
Would seem so, yeah.
That's $20. It's pure profit.
Correct.
Every pop.
Yep.
You're not buying any inventory, nothing. You're literally getting, have a $20 bill. It feels like a win. And I'd be a lot happier.
The amount of time that I spend between $80 and $120 on a bottle of wine at a steakhouse, somewhere is usually in that vicinity is where you like to try to be, unless it's something special. Then you go. But for an MSRP bottle that is $40,
that's the hard part. If you know,
infuriating.
It's
infuriating.
And if $40 to go to $120 is,
and that's the reg.
In Mexico, it's 10x. If it's a
10X?
known California wine, like a wine that you would recognize,
really
10x. Yeah, Camus was over $1,000. The
I got a guy.
Oh my gosh.
I got a guy on that, by the way.
Hold on. What
Camus,
was?
if you like Camus?
I do like Camus.
Okay.
It was like not even fully a do because that was good. It's something other one, and it was like their intrinsic dark or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was the Menage a Trois dark.
Oh, yeah,
which is a $10 bottle of wine.
That's right.
Was $100 in Mexico. Everything else there was dirt cheap except for American and French wines.
Those were nuts.
But if you got like an Argentinian or you even got a Mexican wine, they were
fine.
Totally reasonable.
Oh my God.
$1,000 for a Camus?
Come on. What are we doing? That's outrageous. It's outrageous.
I think that, as outrageous as that is, and I realize the multiple's the same, to think that you can charge $100 for a $10 bottle of wine to me is the most ludicrous thing ever.
You can't make sense of some things that happen in foreign countries. I think it's just as silly when I see a $28 or $32 bottle of Cab for $80 in our fair city. I think that's a joke.
When you have to get like a $60 bottle of wine, you know that you're
at the bottom of the barrel, brother.
Yeah.
All right. So you were going through your concerns, and I interrupted and interjected.
I don't even know how. I don't know where.
You had your concerns. You said as you go down to the Greenbrier, and I said,
your concerns are: is Jerome Ford ready to be the number 2 running back?
Oh, they're so marginal.
Who's going to make this team as the 5th, 6th, 7th linebacker? Who's going to be the 5th, 6th defensive end? How's the defensive tackle battle? For the third, fourth defensive tackle going to shake out? Is D'Anthony Bell hold off Ronnie Hickman to be the 4th safety? Who ends up being the 5th, 6th corners? That's all we're talking about. Can we? One of the other concerns is, can we get to the practice squad?
Yeah,
the guys we want to get to the practice squad. That's the difference in this roster.
That's where you're at. I think of the only one that I can think of from a position battle that is the other defensive tackle. Like, one of those guys has to be a dude. Be really nice if they were a dude. It's not necessary, but I would love for Jordan Elliott, Perry and Winfrey, one of those guys.
Mo Hurst. Keep an eye on Mo Hurst.
He's a Michigan kid who is highly, highly regarded.
He's been very productive when healthy.
Yeah, so if he can stay healthy, that might be the answer to that.
Those little scores for you right there.
I like that. I was curious how he looked, so that's a nice job out of you. Just drop little scores for the kid on what should feel like.
And it's hard, right? This isn't.
Yeah.
None of this is football, but in terms of.
It was like a Friday score that you gave us. Almost makes me think today is Friday. In fact, by the time this show is over, when I leave here, I might be convinced that it's Friday. I'm just saying.
Act accordingly.
The other thing I would say.
But I'll see you tomorrow.
We'll see how the day goes. The other thing. So that's kind of the only question, and then I think the only other thing is like. At the linebacker position, but this is more of a I can't even think of the word to describe it, but it's just the health. Can the linebacker room stay completely healthy and upright? Because
Correct.
I like those guys. A lot of them are slight of build. Can can Jacob Phillips stay healthy for a full year? Anthony Walker coming off a big injury.
Taki.
JOK, Taki. Is that linebacker room healthy enough? But that's it. I mean, those are.
Here's another thing just to kind of ponder as you think about that holistically is that this is going to be a defense that is going to have 3 linebackers on the field, maybe 10 plays a game.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
You're going to be in the 2 linebacker world. Kunashik's had a great camp. I believe next Wednesday, I'm told. You get.
You got a date Wednesday, baby.
I'm told next Wednesday. You got a date Wednesday with a 20-minute Kunashik bomb. You're welcome.
Jeez, from afar, just gifts from afar.
Come on, showering you. He's had a very good camp.
Yeah.
And so Tony Fields has progressed. JOK's looked good. They're in this defense. Their job. So the guys up front, their job is to mess stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
Get upfield and mess stuff up. Obviously, there are some constraints. It's not just a complete free-for-all, but that's the idea. And then the linebackers are supposed to clean it up. Yeah. So the linebackers, as the nerve center of this defense, are going to make sure everybody's aligned right, make sure everybody understands the call, what they're supposed to be doing, and then they're going to be the ones who are just flying to the football, hitting, tackling, and then obviously trying to disrupt the pass game as well, blitzing at times because we're going to be bringing 5 quite a bit. That room, to your point, though, there are some question marks in that room.
Yep.
But there is talent. And again, schematically, we're going to have situations where I think we have 3 corners on the field the vast majority of the time. We're going to have other situations where we're going to have 3 safeties on the field where either I think a McLeod or a Grant Delpit can serve as a quote-unquote linebacker in your scheme. So there's going to be a lot of diversity in what we do there. But, yeah, you're right. And how – here's the other thing that I'm going to try to put – and maybe we could do this – I don't know if we want to do this tomorrow or if you want to wait for this, but as a thought is –
We're not doing a show Saturday.
Thank you. And I won't be here on Monday. So
Bishop,
maybe
don't start
a
with
week
this.
from Monday.
Be flying solo all next week.
A week from Monday.
Oh,
we'll
wait,
do
you
that
already
show.
are because Slappy's taking another week off.
There's his vacation. What do you want? He's earned it.
Thank you.
Earned the right. He's earned
Thank
the
you.
right.
By the way, my mom has made a very astute observation,
Oh.
the official Nana of the program.
Okay, I
when
like it.
you're not here and it's just me and him, he's nice to me. And he actually is, because maybe we're working together on the show, we're collaborating, so he's like actually nice to me.
So I'm the
and
cause
once
of the
you're
evil?
here, well, no, she's not saying that at all.
Yeah.
She
I
just
incite
thinks
the
that
evil.
I think that out of necessity, for the betterment of the program, you have to be nice when it's just the two of us. Now that you have Beau to carry a lot of weight, that just frees him up to be evil.
To come at you.
Yeah.
That's
To actually do my job.
Well, so just a little peek behind the
that's
curtain for
funny.
the people. Are you guys ready? We're coming up here now. Yeah, we are ready. My mic's on. I said, hey, our mics are off. And he's like, yeah. Like it was all part of the plan.
Well-oiled
God,
machine.
it's
Nothing
so
to see
good.
over here.
So good. So good.
been a
Incredible.
Been a week.
It really is.
A week.
There's really so anyway. That's where you are. There's not many questions. It all just comes down to it's just going to come. You are one of the 5, 6, 7, or 8 teams in the AFC that has everything that is needed to go win the Super Bowl. It's
Yes.
just a matter of, do you get breaks? Do you make the big plays in the big moments? But in terms of if you think about Andrew Berry's job in an offseason is to deliver that, do everything in his power to deliver the most talented roster that he can possibly put together, and you feel like he's done that. And now it's just a matter of the uncontrollables, health, how you respond in moments, in games, those type of things. But in terms of the groceries to make a meal, they're all here.
Fine. Farm to table, baby.
That's right.
That's what we're dealing with right now.
That's right.
Farm to table, and it's a lovely farm.
Yeah.
And it's a delightful table.
It really is. It is. And so this team is gone. Gone. And they will reconvene July 19th-ish, and then they will head south.
I would liken what happens at the end of this final practice of minicamp to the way that my coach described my basketball game, which was he, in his mind, felt that I played on a basketball court that was tilted like this being the offensive end, this being the defense, because he said your ability to get, once you saw a missed shot, to get down here and go get a layup was unbelievable. It's the speed. It was like I was Carl Lewis, for those old enough to know that reference. But then getting back here was very challenging for me going uphill. They were me on feeling like they're going to get an outlet, an easy layup, an easy bucket. That's how fast.
I think I have several kids that I coach that are of a similar ilk, that there's a real excitement about going that way and less of an excitement about doing this work.
What's fun about that?
Nothing. There's no fun.
There was never
no
a
fun
point.
about defense.
There were a few plays, and I would liken it to what Kevin Love did against Steph Curry in Game 7.
I think that's an appropriate comparison with the greatest stop in NBA history to your high school.
No,
career.
that's not what I was saying at all. No, not even close to equating that. What I was saying is Kevin Love was not a guy who was often,
but he had it in him.
But had it in him, and he said, you know what? In this moment, I did it because it was necessary, and he probably felt great about it. But most times he's probably like, I just want to rebound and throw a sweet outlet pass or shoot a three from the corner or whatever. I was just more the mentality of every night. I didn't get the much satisfaction from playing defense, except
Nobody
if
does.
it was a moment like that, which is a one play, like, okay, I'm going to go crazy here for one play and I get a stop, then I'd get excited. But like once.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, give me the rock,
That's
baby.
good. Yeah. It's more fun.
No, that was not equating my career in any way. I'm known for hyperbole, and as you said, let's talk about my greatness as much as possible. That's not what I was doing.
Anytime we can. I mean, it's a win.
Yeah, huge.
No, nobody wants to do that. But no, I think that's appropriate, that there's a downhill shift to the airport, like a rocket ship. It's kind of the invert of like when they used to do Black Friday at like the Blockbuster or whatever, or not the Blockbuster.
At midnight?
At Best Buy or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like
The
midnight and
Madness.
then just sprint. Like that's what happened. Like how many people are in the 216 that don't live here year round by tonight at 7? 0?
That don't live here year round?
Yeah.
And
0.
are not injured.
And are not injured.
0.
Gone. Yeah, they're out.
There were people, no names, walking out as we were walking into the cafeteria to eat. And that was at 12:50, and practice ended at 12:10.
All right, we'll see you later.
There were many.
It's like Costanza.
I was like, all right. I
This
guess
was-
we don't have any post-practice meetings
Speaking
today.
of, it was like Costanza getting out of the fire situation at the party.
That's great.
That's
Yeah.
how good they were. That's how quickly they were trying to get out of there.
Shoving people
Shoving old
aside.
ladies aside. Yeah. Absolutely.
What do you make of this weather that we've had for this? I mean, it's perfect for football. I don't know
Yeah.
that I don't think there's any smoke, right? It's just smog, but I mean, it's kind of
Today
just
it's
gray.
just clouds. Yeah.
Just
Today I think
clouds.
we're through, hopefully, through that haze. Little wind hopefully moves that through.
As long as whatever was in New York City yesterday doesn't start trending this
Yeah.
direction.
I mean, that's what the motherland looks like by August in most summers. Like 2 years ago, we flew in to Bozeman, and when we landed at the airport in Bozeman, which is actually Belgrade, you could not see the mountains. And you're landing in the middle of a mountain range, but the smoke was so thick. And I was like, oh my gosh, like we flew into this, you're not gonna be able to see anything. And woke up the next day, there was wind. Woke up the next morning, clear. So that's how quickly it moves out there. But what New York's had last night is, I mean, we're quite familiar with that.
What's crazy though is it's coming and it blew Sweet Miss K's mind last night when she pulled out a map to look at where Alberta is.
It's not just coming from there; it's coming from Quebec too.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
420 fires or
Yeah.
something.
Quebec makes a lot more sense for New York.
It's burning like crazy. Sweet Miss K was unaware of the proximity of Alberta.
Well,
to
she
us.
just was stunned that how is this getting through Michigan and Ohio and
Yeah.
and all of that.
All
And I
of
said,
the
well,
Canada.
that's the natural
Jet stream, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carry it right on over.
Bringing it straight through.
At 10 o'clock last night, Philadelphia had the worst air pollution of any city in the world
Really, because of all of the
because
smoke.
of what was going on.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it was. I'm wondering. They must be having drought. In Canada. Have to be.
They said I read somewhere they get forest fires.
Yeah. I mean, they would. They have forests.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that these happen, and because it's so dry, well, most of them started from lightning strikes.
Usually, what happens out west. Yeah.
But they said it's a lot earlier than normal.
Yeah.
And it's
Normally, I'm guessing they have it just like we do in
Correct.
Montana, but it's usually July, August is when they happen. Like they don't happen May.
Yeah, it's when you get those electrical storms
Yeah.
with the heat
Yeah, and you get
bouncing
that
off
heat.
the mountains.
Plus, we're usually not this dry this time of year,
crispy,
and it's.
crackly.
Is it next week? We're finally going to see some rain.
Yeah.
Allegedly?
It's Segura's whole week of vacation. It's now 5 of the 7 days. There's at least a
What is it,
40%
pour?
chance.
He
of
loves
rain.
it.
No,
So
when we
excited.
go up to Michigan, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in
Yeah.
Michigan are
Oh,
all
you'll be
gonna
okay.
are
Yeah.
great. Actually, like 80,
Yeah.
sunny, great. And
Yeah,
that'll be
it's
the
right here.
It's here, and it will be the days that we are going to Cedar Point. But maybe that'll keep
Actually,
maybe
that'll keep
thin out
crowds
the
away.
park
Yes,
a little bit.
That's a good day to go to the park.
Not if it's like steady raining.
No, but
So it looks-
overcast
okay.
with a hint.
Overcast and a hint. Dials.
Looks like Monday, Tuesday are the real bombs.
And those are the days that we're
Yeah, and then after
parking.
that, it's fine.
Yeah.
And I'm great with
Safe.
that because I'm tired of watering my lawn, and I can only imagine what my water bill is trying to grow grass right now in June. It's not ideal.
No,
I
that's
feel
not
like
gonna be
Gibbe
good
would
for anybody.
thrive with a well, a real spring well for Gibbe to.
Like I said, the only problem with the well, I mean, we have two of
You're-
them.
you're
I had to put
going
in a
dry.
second one. That's the one that runs the sprinkler system.
Yeah.
Is running out every
I know.
time.
Low.
I drink your milkshake. Too many people drinking out of the milkshake, kids. Siciliano was he was here.
He's here.
Yeah.
He's in town. There's a reason he's in town.
Oh, is there? Will he share that, or is that just a tease?
Yes, it's in the notes. It's in the tease.
Oh, very good. Oh, there it is. That's a very big moment for him. So we'll ask him about that, among other things. We're off and running. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. reached the final round of the new dog logo contest. Make sure to let your voice be heard. Vote for your favorite one per day. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/dog logo to cast your vote.
Well, since this is Friday, this is the last day to vote.
Last day to vote. Yeah, it's all over. That's true. He wasn't up. It's a shame.
Don't
Doesn't have a light.
start
It's absolutely a
promoting.
shame.
No, it's not the last day.
No, it feels
Friday.
like Friday to me. It really
It
feels
is
like
not.
Friday.
You can't say that.
FLF, brother. Feels
Yeah,
like Friday.
feels
We're
like
going to be in
Friday.
meetings. You may not be going home. Keep
We'll
up
be
with
in-
it.
we'll be in
Keep up with
meetings.
that.
We're not gonna be
Why are
in
you being
meetings.
meetings for saying it feels like Friday?
Let's ask Siciliano. He joins us on the
Yeah.
Twisted Tea Hotline, NFL Network. Great friend of the program. Andrew, does it
Yes.
feel like Friday to you?
Guys, I was on a red eye last night. I have no concept of what day it is.
That sounds like an exact.
Feels like a Friday then to me. That's a Friday explanation. You were out here today, man. What'd you think?
Man, I'm clueless. What I think? I think it was a nice, fun, quick last day of school kind of practice. Like it should be.
Yeah.
School's out for summer. Go out there for the next month. Relax, stay fresh. Don't do anything silly, and be in West Virginia in 5 weeks. Or 6 weeks, whatever it is.
Oh, my
It
God.
was that kind of day.
That's hard to wrap my head around. He's right, though. 6
I
weeks.
know
like,
he's.
that's not.
Oh, I'm
that's
well
so
aware.
Quick. So
yes,
quick.
very quick.
But,
Andrew,
you guys know that, like, this is, minicamp this week or minicamp next week. There are 22 teams, I think, that have minicamps next week, and then the league shuts down for a month. So I think there is, whether it's with the Browns or any of the other teams, a sense of relief that you get a big break, but at the same time, also realizing you got to get some good work in because, the days are limited and the season's actually a lot closer than you would think.
Yeah.
and it starts with the Bengals at the Steelers, and you get the Ravens at home in your first 4 games, so you got to be ready to roll when it is time to go. Deshaun Watson has been looking great, Andrew. I thought his Tuesday practice was simply sensational. Had a nice dime to DPJ today, as well as some others. But, you've got to throw a dime tomorrow night, which I guess could be Saturday, maybe Friday night. Either way, you got to throw a dime tomorrow night at the Guardians, baby. How are you feeling? What's the mindset? Have there been practice pitches made? Are you bringing the heater? You throwing a curve? What's the thought process here?
All right. So the fact is, Nathan, I didn't expect this to become public, but evidently it is now public.
Blame Gibbe.
I am throwing out
Put it in the rundown
tomorrow at the game. I'll be honest. I'm a little bit anxious. Yeah.
Yep.
A little bit
Yes.
anxious. I did yesterday. Back at LA, worked the arm out a little bit and played some catch with a bud, and felt fine. Like last time I played catch about a month ago was with my 8-year-old nephew. A little bit different.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling okay, but like I was talking about it with some people today, yourself included, like do you wing it in there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or do you just kind of make sure it gets there? And no one's gonna care if you just make sure it gets there.
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
You definitely want to make sure it gets there, but if you
Have
throw
you
a little
done it before?
cheese, great
Have
question.
you done it before?
I did it like 12 years ago, and it got there, but it hit the plate. Like it had a little dirt on it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a 3-hopper.
Sure.
It wasn't like a Travis Kelce. I mean, it was right down the middle. It was
Yeah.
60 feet and not 6 inches, just 60 feet.
I like it.
Here's how I feel about it. You've done it before. Let's go ahead and let's bring a little bit of the cheese. Give them the high, hard one. A little shoulder high fastball. Bring it. That's safe. It's going to get there. They'll catch it. Number 2, the goal in my mind, if I ever get an opportunity to do this, my goal is to finish somewhere on the spectrum between Fafa Fuhai / Travis Kelce on one end, and then Ichiro on the other when he came back in full uniform and piped it like 93 after not playing baseball for a long
spectrum.
time. Big spectrum. All you have to do is come in between those two. That's it.
Look, Ichiro at 60 years old can roll out of bed and get 3 hits. I guarantee
no doubt.
you.
That's fact.
He will
He's
be
unreal.
able to do that.
Yeah.
So to compare me to Ichiro is rough.
You just got to be below Ichiro and above Kelce and Fafa Fuhai. Yeah, and you can do that. I have full confidence.
Got to be better than Travis Kelce.
Right.
Now, I think we had Kelce on the network a couple of weeks ago. He was trying to tell me that, he wasn't supposed to do it, it was supposed to be Mom.
Come on.
And then he stepped in because Mom didn't want to do it, and he didn't warm up. And I'm like, come on, man. Seriously? But at the same time, it's not like I could say tomorrow, hey, can we go down to the tunnel and loosen up? Like, I don't know.
I think you might be able to say that.
I think you can do that.
I think you can say that.
I think you could uncork
They
some.
they have an indoor throwing area.
I think you can do that.
And batting cage area.
When the Miz did it, I was with him, and he threw plenty of pitches there, and actually threw a nice first pitch in there. Yeah, you can absolutely do that.
I mean, he's the Miz, so again,
I think there are two things that I would have. These would be the two things I'd think. Number one, I would aim high.
Yep.
Because what happened to you the last time is what happened to me where my pitch hit the back end of the plate. Like it was over the middle, but it was hit the back point of the plate. And I wished that I had aimed higher, because you don't realize how far 60 feet 6 inches is until you're out there, and you're like, wow, that's a lot further than I thought, especially juxtaposed to a stadium. So that would be the first thing, and then this would be my other thing, and this is just the reality of it. Not that many people are paying attention.
I know. You're totally right.
Unless you go viral.
And that's why if you just lob it in there,
you're
like, hey, we're not going viral. Everyone applauds.
Yeah.
And you walk out of there.
I like where your head's at.
But like yesterday, I'm playing catch. And by the way, this is far too much overthinking of this thing. We're playing catch, my buddy and I, yesterday. And when you're getting in a good rhythm and you're going like 3/4 and you're just, you're winging it, like it's the easiest thing. You're on autopilot, right?
Yep.
But then when he decides to get down, crouch, be the catcher, and then you're like, all right, now I'm throwing downhill. Now you got to hit a target.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're thinking about it. And there's a reason I haven't played baseball since high school,
Yeah. I think you're going to be great. I think you got the right mind frame for it. I think it's going to be pretty special. Hey, bud, speaking of, this is going to be a pretty special, by the time we get back to work, and I don't know if I'll have time to talk to you and tell this, but this team going to the Greenbrier, obviously, so there will be something special about that. And then when it gets back, it's Hoff week. It's Joe Thomas. It's the Hoff going in and getting his actual gold jacket. You've worked with Joe a lot, know him well. One of the greatest, the Dr. Evil photo, one of the great photos of all time.
That's going to be in his reel.
For sure, it's going to be in the reel.
For sure.
Have you wrapped your head around what that, Joe well like we do, what that week's going to be like for him and for all of us that know him and love him?
I am so happy for him because honestly, not only is Joe one of my favorite people, they're like one of my favorite families. Like Annie is one of the coolest people of all time as well. So I am so happy for all of them. I've been very fortunate to go to a whole bunch of these things, and I know for me as a fan, I pinch myself every time I'm there. I cannot fathom what it would be like to actually stand up there and say, this is my football life. And the coolest thing for me going to the Hall is to see these great men and these great athletes welcome everyone back in that helped them on this journey. Mm-hmm. Every Pee Wee coach and every teacher and every high school coach and mom and dad who drove you to practice every day. And just the aunts and the uncles and the cousins and the nieces and the nephews, the family part of it and the culmination and the celebration of all that work. Honestly, it gets me every time. And I am so happy that a guy like Joe, who so deserves this, is getting that moment. He deserves to be a first ballot. There is an extra special honor to being a first ballot Hall of Famer. And the fact that this guy is going in as the first guy since the rebirth in '99 means that much more, and he deserves it.
Do you miss that Thursday night show as much as we do?
I do. I actually do. It kind of not to get too much into work, but yeah, it did kind of suck to not be on the road last year. We had a lot of fun. They had a lot of fun doing that show in the studio last year as well. So it's not the same as being in the building. They still did a great show, Colleen and everyone, and Steve and Joe, and they did a great job in the studio. But it is, Nathan, as you guys both know, it is fun to be out there on the road.
Oh, man, you guys I felt like it was lightning in a bottle. It was, in my opinion, it was the inside the NBA of NFL coverage, basically. That show was the most fun. So, obviously, Mini-Me was one. What's your favorite thing that you did with Joe outside of Mini-Me? Because you guys would be together often outside the building.
Yeah, the mini me thing was fun. I would say the indie thing we did. You've seen like the hot wing or the hot thing, the interview show with the hot wing. We were in Indianapolis and we did the St. Elmo's cocktail sauce, and we did the shrimp cocktail with the 3 different levels of St. Elmo sauce. Now, in reality, there's only one level.
That's right.
One bottle, and you guys have been there.
Yes.
And it's great stuff. It clears the sinuses out. It's
no doubt.
awesome. It's like gasoline. But they made 2 other ones where they actually added extra horseradish for us.
Oof.
And Joe was sweating through his bald skull, and it was fantastic. I mean, granted, I was as well.
I love that.
But Joe really played it up for the camera, and that was fun.
That was fun. By the way, we almost lost Beau Bishop at St.
Yeah, I almost died. It almost got me. There was a big chunk, buddy. A big chunk went in, and I'd had it a lot, so I was prepared.
You were
I knew
ready.
what I was having. It's never bothered me before, but I got a big chunk, and it felt like an atom bomb went off in the middle of my brain. It was just almost took me out.
I have some of it at home.
Me too, always.
I put on almost everything at home.
Same.
The other fun one was, let's tip the cap to the Browns here. The Dearness Johnson game here against
Denver.
The Broncos a couple of years ago.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah, just because it was here and just because it was fun and just because, Case Keenum and Dad Bod and Dearness Johnson eked out a win.
Yes, that was great, and that was when I was doing kind of like the pregame hype, we had Joe down there, and I gave it to him, and he screamed at the top of his lungs, "Let's stomp those ponies!" And I thought it was just all time. The Hoff, love it.
Oh, wait a minute, no, hold on. In 2019, Nathan, I interviewed Swagger.
I'm sure that was an
The
illuminating
actual dog
conversation.
or the guy running around.
No, the actual dog.
I interviewed the dog.
Fantastic.
May he R.I.P. R.I.P. Swagger.
Swagger 1, not Swagger 1.
Not
Mini
Swagger
Junior.
Junior.
Swagger 2.
Yeah, Swagger 2.
There was
I
a
don't
funeral
remember
for
if
the
this
first
was Swagger 1. Was 2019. So
19 would have been the original.
The orig.
That's the OG. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Well,
he's up there with Sheiky,
I
baby.
will always have the moment with the OG.
What do you think of the dog
He-
logos?
I mean-
you like one of those better than the other? The last 2?
I got to see him to remember which one I like, but I think I like the one on the right better.
Okay.
The one's a little darker. Didn't really have eyes. Yeah. It's a strong logo. They're both strong.
Yeah. Is that one going to win?
We don't know.
We don't know.
Voting ends today, allegedly. It's Friday.
Oh, come on. You know.
We
We
do
don't
not
know anything.
know.
We have no
do not
scores on
know.
this.
Yeah, we don't have scores.
Really?
Because they're doing renovations, so we're in an undisclosed location off-site.
We have no idea.
Oh.
So you don't get those normal office interactions because they're renovating the second floor. So everybody that would be in the know of that is elsewhere.
Yeah.
I know that it's a tight race. So if you actually are listening right now and you do care about one logo versus the other,
Now's the time.
now is the time to vote.
Is there going to be a big reveal?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure.
How's it going to be done? Do we know that?
Oh, yeah. Big reveal. I don't know. I'm sure it'll be stupendous.
Yeah, I would think so, for sure.
Gargantuan.
Hey, man, do you ever pinch yourself with all this? As a kid growing up a Cleveland sports fan, you're throwing out a pitch at it was a team that you rooted for, an Indians game. I mean, you've done all this stuff with us, with Joe. I mean, you're interviewing the dog. Like, you ever like, holy hell, man, like I'm crushing this.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm crushing, but every single time, yes. Truly, absolutely. Like I graduated high school with an Indians jersey on under my gown. So, absolutely.
Awesome.
I pinch myself and hey, I don't miss an Indians game or a Guardians game. I didn't miss either. I have them wherever I am. They're on. Period.
Yeah.
So I am a fan first and foremost, and the ability to be there. Yes, the ability to just stand there and watch practice, hang with you guys. Even talking to Bernie today, for example.
Of course.
Yeah.
Talked to Bernie 1,000 times, but he still is a guy that
the best.
Posters on my wall as a kid. So
Yeah.
Are you going to bring hats for bats, taking a page out of Pedro Serrano's playbook to try to wake these bats up, keep the bats warm?
No hats. No hats for bats. But I was watching, my buddy I played catch with yesterday is a big Reds fan.
Oh,
and
boy.
we did have the split screen on for Clase in the ninth and Will Benson's walk-off last night, of all people. So, What could have been?
Look,
Yeah, certainly. Hey, real quick, you have to get one, and you may actually own one of these. What is the correct major league from the movie? If you're to own one jersey from a player in that game, what is the correct one to own? And I do think there's a correct
Oh,
answer.
it's Willie Mays Hayes.
I think
Willie
that's
Mays
incorrect.
Hayes.
That's incorrect. We're looking for Dorn. We're looking for Roger Dorn.
No.
Roger Dorn.
What? Dorn.
Oh,
Come
I
on,
love
give
the
me
Dorn
some-
jerseys. Unbelievable,
Give me
dude. It's
some- give me
unbelievable.
some
I
wild-
saw someone and when it was Jacob Field to the Dorn, I died. I go, that's the funniest thing. You see Mays Hayes, you see Wild,
You
you
see
see
the
Rick Vaughn.
Vaughn.
But Mike Serrano, even
I
for
have
like
a Vaughn.
a guy in a Dorn, I died.
What
I
do you
just
stand
died.
for, sir?
Just with this,
I mean,
Olay.
yeah.
It's like wearing it's like a Brooke Jacoby jersey.
Right, it's so great, so specific. Hey, man, thanks for your time. Have fun with it. We know that you will, and we always appreciate your time and seeing you here today.
Yeah.
Hey, gentlemen, it's been fun. We'll do it again soon. Maybe I'll see you on Back Together Saturday.
I like
Oh,
it.
man, I like that.
I like
that.
it. I like where your head's at.
Give him the heater.
That would be a good one, too.
Yeah. Get a Lou Brown. Yeah.
Get a Lou Brown would be good.
All right, take care.
Andrew Siciliano joining us.
Hey, I got a guy in the line about a set of white walls.
See?
Yeah, there it
That's
is.
what I'm saying, man.
Iconic.
NFL Network analyst calling in on the Twisted Tea hotline. The Dorn is
All right, hold on.
unbelievable.
We didn't even get a Jake Taylor. Jake Taylor be a nice jersey. Serrano's
he might have
nice
been a
jersey.
stalker. Jake Taylor may have been a stalker.
Well, he did show up in her apartment.
Showing up in her apartment, like just walks in. Like, come on,
What was your event?
in the bullpen car.
200 individual medley.
Jeez.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was. Yeah. Now I'm a big Dorn guy. I think Dorn's where it's at. I love that, man. 24 Dorn.
That's kind of that is pretty good. I do have a Wild Thing Rick Vaughn jersey.
Yeah, that's the one that I think most would have. That and Willie Mays Hayes. I do see a Serrano every once in a while. I've
Dorn
seen
is
one Dorn.
outrageous.
I'll never forget it. He was sitting 2 rows in front of me at the stadium, and I just wanted to hug the guy and just go. I just think that's perfect.
I'm going to give a reference that you don't even recognize,
Yeah.
but Dorn's like the Tom Sandoval of Major League. I feel like he would have been involved in and in fact, he was involved in a big scandal.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Towards the end, back when television cameras were allowed in parties.
Apparently they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you saw
He was
that.
undid a little bit
And
there.
then, well, the Wild Thing.
Yeah. It happens. It's going to
They
happen.
just handled it. They handled it old school. I'm going to punch you.
They did.
And then we're good.
I still think that movie's is other than Taylor being perhaps a stalker. I think everything else is perfect.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it's the perfect sports movie.
It's great.
Yeah, yeah. It really has everything that you
Got all you want.
It does.
It's way better than that Rudy
Rudy sucks. Couldn't suck
garbage.
anymore. We'll go around.
I wouldn't
the
even
league.
watch that on a fake Friday.
Same. Me either. We'll go around the league among other things coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Hey, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Time to go around the league. This coming in the last hour or so, the Vikings release running back Dalvin Cook. That will happen later this week. They tried pretty desperately to find a trade for him, but they could not find one, and so he will be released. And then, he's already been asked about it. I saw Mike McDaniel's already been asked about it in Miami. He had a couple of funny lines about it.
He wants to go to one of two places, is what I heard. Was
Okay.
Miami
Yep.
and Buffalo.
Everybody wants to go to Buffalo.
Well, for him, there are a multitude of reasons to go
Brother's
to Buffalo.
there.
His brother would be there and be able to kind of take him under his wing. Obviously, they've been a Dalvin Cookie type running back away from being very scary on offense. So we'll see what happens there. But the Vikings are going all in to roll over cap room for the following season when they're obviously going to try to – Kwesi's going to try to, go down to come back up.
So
is what it feels like.
They'll punt on Cousins after this year. And
That's my guess. But you got Justin Jefferson. You got Jordan Addison now.
you can flip it quick with the right quarterback. I mean,
got
Cincinnati did.
Hawkinson.
Yeah. You can flip it quick. You just have to land the quarterback at the top. You got
The
to
problem
get
is
the right guy.
Cousins is too good.
That's the problem.
for them
they
to
need
be-
to trade him now or find a way to get out from under him now.
Yeah.
To where that they could go to the bottom, and then you could pick one of those three quarterbacks in next year that are all going to be really good. But if you don't do that, then it's really hard, and then you're going to have Justin Jefferson going like, "What am I doing?
I don't need to sign here. Right.
I have no interest in being a part of this." Danielle Hunter apparently being another guy who could be on the.
So they're
move.
going to get rid of their two guys who are double-digit sack edge rushers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was already a bad defense, despite the fact that they had a good defensive line.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, we saw it here with Sashi. It's hard to be the guy who oversees that to get through it.
Agreed. And here's the other thing that would be just, obviously if we were able to true serum Kwesi. We've interviewed him before as the acting general manager of the
We were
Vikings.
the
Maybe-
first, actually.
Maybe we could bring him back on in the offseason and talk to him again and just get his thoughts. Because, look, the NFC isn't that good.
No.
So you do have a chance. If you get in the dance, anything can happen. And then in a
Yeah.
one-game scenario, you've got if they had their full complement of horse, say they kept Za'Darius and Hunter, you could have a game where they just wreck a game for an offensive line or in a quarterback, and with Jefferson and Cousins, they could put up 30, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
They did it many times.
Yeah. He obviously feels strongly that there's not a path for a Super Bowl contender there. And we talk about this much throughout a lot of the offseason. There is no middle class anymore. Nobody wants to be middle class. They don't want to be upper middle class. They don't want to win 10, 11 games, win a division, get in the playoffs, lose. They don't want to be basically what the Bengals were under Andy Dalton for the longest time.
Right.
Or what the Vikings have been for a
Right.
great many years of the time that you and I have been following and paying attention to the NFL, which is not serious team. You're not a serious person.
Not a serious team.
And you're not a serious team. So
Yep.
they don't want to be that. So if you're not that, you would rather go to the bottom and then try to build it back up. It's just hard for the general manager to survive all of that, and it's very difficult to land the quarterback.
To land, right, exactly.
The timing has to work out. You have to be picking first in a draft that it's known. It's hard. It's really difficult. Go look at
Agreed.
Jameis and Mariota. And there's countless of these guys in the recent years that were first, second picks and flatlined.
Yep.
Bake. It's hard. It's really difficult. Did you guys see the Jaguars' plans for their stadium?
We didn't talk about that. Yes.
Did not.
I sure did.
That is what you do.
Yep.
That's what you do.
That's it. That's the answer. And anybody who's not doing that, especially in Buffalo, Chicago,
Well,
here,
you have to do that.
you do that.
That's what you do.
That's the game changer.
Yeah.
That is events coming to our area. That is
So it's-
money.
Folks, if you haven't seen it, it's basically SoFi is what – it's their version of SoFi. It is, the huge areas around the concourses, an ability to close the roof, an open air, which you can do in their climate. You could not do that here, not as well anyway. And, in fact, in the renderings, they show them for Jaguars games. They show them for Florida, Georgia. They show them for the Gator Bowl, and they show them for the college football final. By the way, Jacksonville's already had a Super Bowl. I see no reason to believe why
Yep.
they wouldn't get another one if they wanted
Yep.
it. It opens you up. They wouldn't do WrestleMania, I wouldn't think, there because they're AEW, but maybe. Who knows?
That would be a total thing that they would want to do.
You think? Even though the
In
kid
the
owns
face of it?
AEW?
Yeah. I don't know that it would be possible. I think it wouldn't be possible, but I'm saying that's something that the WWE would love to do that.
No, I know, but I don't know that the Khans
I don't
would
think
do
they
that.
would. Yeah.
Because
Are the Khans owning it? Are they building it Kroenke style?
Yeah, they're building a Kroenke style.
Their own. Then yeah. Then
Well, not entirely their own. It seems like Shad Khan's willing to spend $1 billion.
Well, this is going to be north
and
of
it's
that.
going to be more like, well, what they're doing is, though, they're gutting the old stadium and they're building this around it.
So yeah, it's 62,000 seat open air stadium.
But it's open air in the way that LA is.
Includes a shaded canopy the team says will reduce the heat factor by more than 70%. Lookout decks that offer views of the city, 2 pools.
Gotta keep the pools. Yep.
The stadium can expand to seat 71,500. It mentions hosting a Final Four.
So then it's got a roof.
Yep.
It has to.
It has to. You can't have a Final Four.
I don't
if you
see.
have a roof.
I can't see anything on the.
It looked to me
inside.
like there was like a retractable roof
Entire
situation.
cost of the project could be as much as $2 billion. With the stadium improvements costing between $1.3 billion and $1.4 billion.
Okay, so what I had read is that Khan was willing to shoulder the $1 billion for the stadium improvements, and then the total cost of the project, the 2 point whatever, that's for the land around it for him to develop upon.
Yeah, that's per a memorandum of understanding. The city and Jags owner Shad
Yeah.
Khan would split the cost of the entire project, including development around the stadium, which is great because they don't even open their tailgate lots till 3 hours before kick, which is just a joke.
People don't realize how small that city is.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the biggest, I think, in the country in terms of area because it's basically all of Duval County, but the actual city is pretty small, like the downtown.
If the city
Yeah.
and Jags agree on a two-year stadium renovation plan,
They got to play elsewhere.
yes, options include the University of Florida's Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, Orlando's Camping World Stadium. Other sites
rough.
mentioned include the nearby 11,000-seat baseball stadium that houses the AAA affiliate of the Marlins.
Yeah, that's not possible.
No.
But Lamping said it would cost $125 million to add 20,000 seats to the facility to get them NFL ready. So it would be like a 30,000-seat stadium like we played in
Carson.
L.A.
Or they can do it over 4 years, which adds about $200 million to the
Here-
project, and they could play all their games at home if they renovate it over 4 years.
In the off season.
This is what I would say, though. If I'm the city of Jacksonville, I'm all for it, but you're going to stop giving up home games to go play in London.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm happy to help you,
Yeah.
but we're not going to take away home games so you can go play overseas. We're not doing this then.
It's a lovely, like Jacksonville Beach is really nice. and
45 minutes away.
Ponte Vedra is really nice. But
Yeah.
that is not Jacksonville.
It is
No.
not.
And it is pretty hard to wrap your head around in the mid-90s that they were like, let's go here.
Let's do this.
I mean, it's a strange thing in retrospect that was done, especially with the cities that did not have teams at the time, that they would do so, that they would put it there is pretty wild. They obviously wanted to go south, pick Carolina and Jacksonville, to go to that part of the country because it was just the Falcons representing that whole South. But I think what their hope was that Jacksonville would somehow pull Orlando. It just was
They
never
should just
going
put it
to.
in Orlando.
They were never going to. Well, the thing there was Tampa blocked that because Tampa didn't.
close
They didn't want
enough.
any part of it.
Yeah.
They didn't want it there. So they don't really have. I mean, he could easily do all of this in London if he wanted to, or he could do it somewhere else. Like,
Yep.
He's chosen to do it there. I think they'll acquiesce to everything he wants. I think it's a game changer for the city.
Yep.
They'll be able to have. I mean, the thing that would honestly matter most to that city, I would bet, more than a Super Bowl, is a college football playoff final. That's what they would want to be in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That is a college football town at heart.
Can
yeah.
you do the SEC championship there?
Sure. I mean, you have to get it out of Atlanta, but you could.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about what matters most there when I was down there was Florida State, Florida, and Georgia. That's what ran that town. It was an SEC town. It was not at that point, and that was coming off of Brunell and Fred Taylor and Baselli. Like it was
Keenan
that
McCardle,
era.
Jimmy Smith.
Yeah, they had a lot of dudes.
Yeah.
And
they
there
were
was,
very good.
but it
very
wasn't
quickly.
It wasn't ever like anything close to going to like Florida, Georgia.
Yeah. Well, Rich
wasn't.
LeCount never lost in that stadium. Remember when he
Never
had
lost.
those 2 picks?
Yeah. Well, when I was there, Georgia never won. Florida beat them over and over and over in that thing. But it is what you ought to do.
Speaking of
try
that,
to do.
those Florida of those teams, I think it's August the 23rd. The documentary's coming out about those teams. It's
So
really the
here's what I would say
2007.
about that.
It's really 2007.
It has everything. The reality around that time in Florida history has everything that you would want in a sports documentary if they tell the real truth, Bootsy. If they tell the real truth and they tell the stories. The fact that that Urban Meyer put Aaron Hernandez with Tim Tebow as a roommate, if those stories are told, then it's got a potential to be one of the greatest sports docs
ever.
of all time.
Yep.
If it's sports washing Urban's legacy at Florida, then I'm not interested. I don't need that.
Sports washing, love it.
Like that?
That's a term on the rise.
It is.
Speaking of a little,
Because that's what it would be. If they do that, then it's just if it's that from that point of reference. No thanks.
Did you watch the Aaron Hernandez documentary?
No, I didn't.
I did, and they were pretty. The Florida part was very interesting. All the trouble he got into, all the things that were going on around him. I don't know if they mentioned the Tebow thing. That didn't strike me as something that I remembered, but just that documentary was wild.
Yeah.
But even the Florida portion of it was wild.
Was
You
wild.
felt like, how did this guy ever get drafted?
He's a hell of a football player.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
a little more college football news media-wise
Okay.
from Andrew Marchand. Reggie Bush expected to be out at Fox over a contract dispute. Mark Ingram close to signing with Fox to replace him on Big Noon and retiring from the National Football League. Marchand also reporting.
Why would they hire Ingram, who played at Alabama, to do lead-in for Ohio State, Iowa football?
Fox has looked into alternatives, including ESPN's Desmond Howard and RG3, but never made a formal offer to either.
They just don't want to spend. The big problem with their coverage is they act like their first time seeing like a whiteout at Penn State is the first time anybody's seen a whiteout at Penn State, because none of them are Big Ten people, so they don't understand the tradition of it. They have no idea. Like every time they see, dotting the I, they're like explaining it. No, we know what dotting the I is. We're Ohio State football fans. We're watching them play Michigan, for God's sake.
Sure.
We don't need a description.
Yeah. So he's saying it is not official yet, but all signs are pointing that is going to indeed be the case.
As long as Urban's on that show, and say whatever you want about him, about everything else, he's really good at that. As long as he's there, it doesn't matter. The rest of them can come and go. It's Leinart, Brady, and Reggie, but as long as Urban's there, they got a shot. But it'll never be game day. There's no Mark Ingram's not moving the needle on them beating game day.
No.
Oh.
No, not in any way.
In fact, it's like
It's a weird hire to hire an Alabama guy to do what is going to amount to pregame of Big Ten football games.
I'm
would
a little
be-
confused. Like, why not go after Desmond?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of former Buckeyes that are doing those jobs.
Right in your backyard you can pick
Yeah,
from.
there's all sorts of guys that would be good.
who would you say if you were going to get the best person you think that could be a Big Ten pregame for Fox? Who would that be?
Who wouldn't be afraid to play the heel and wouldn't be afraid to like go at Urban and wouldn't. You can't go too Buckeye heavy though. Would be the only reason I would hesitate on this. Bobby Carpenter would be damn good at it because he would play a role. He'd be willing to play a role, and that's something that they take themselves way too seriously on that show, and Bob would be willing to do that.
Where's Chucky Wood?
Well, he didn't want to do the work like that. Like he doesn't want to do that work.
He doesn't want to do it.
No, I mean he's got the winery. And
He would be the best though.
yeah, like him, and you need an Ohio State guy and you need a Michigan guy. They currently have none. I mean, if Urban's there, they have a sort of an Ohio State guy, but
Yeah.
like they don't have any of those. I mean, they have two USC guys and a Notre Dame guy doing Big Ten pregame.
I wonder if they'd force Brady to do just like a little something with that.
I could see him doing something for like the Ohio State Michigan game, like
Yeah.
doing a pop in
Yeah.
on something like that. But yeah, you got to have those are the teams that draw the whole thing. By the way, pretty big hint that there will be more expansion in the Big Ten. Gene Smith doubled down, the athletic director of Ohio State. They're playing one time at 7:30 in November. They're doing it this year, and that's it. If that's
Saw
going
that
to continue
yesterday.
to be the case, then they have got to add more teams out west or in warmer climate because all the rest of the Big Ten feels that way as well, and you can't just rely on home games with USC and UCLA for 4 dates every single November. So they're going to have to add more teams.
So you're saying Ohio State only wants to play one night game?
They're only going to do it once. They're doing it this year against Michigan State as a bailout, but they're not doing it again.
Why don't they want to play primetime? Because
It's
the
just a
SEC TV
tradition
is too
and-
big?
No. It's just tradition and too cold. I just think they don't want night games in the Big Ten in November. The Big Ten's never played night games in November until television came into play. And then they forced them to, but it's usually at Rutgers, at Maryland, at Illinois, those type of games. Like the big boys don't do it. Michigan doesn't do it. Ohio State
So
doesn't
now
do
they'll
it.
do
Penn
4:30
State
kicks
won't
at
do it.
UCLA, USC, and that's why you need Stanford and
If you
Cal.
take Stanford, Cal, Oregon, Washington,
Arizona.
they're going Big 12.
It's a good
I don't know
basketball
what's
conference.
going on outside, but the sky is changing colors.
Is it going to rain or is it smoke?
I'm pretty sure it's smoke.
All right, very good. We'll get you
Colors to what?
I don't.
the apocalypse.
It is-
We got
yeah.
UFOs.
It's not yellow, though, right?
Might be UFOs.
It's not
green.
great. It's not green. No. Green is bad things. We're
Well, you're the weather guy. That's what I'm asking you. Are
No,
you
no, 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 no,
concerned
no.
or are you just observing?
no. It's starting to look a little like I don't want. It's not like anything like New York, but it is a weird sky that's
Great.
blowing
Fantastic. Great news. Thank God it's Friday.
Yeah. TGIF.
Final hour of the program up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Get a Cleveland Browns Daily brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And now we head to the podium and Chad O'Shea.
Elijah, just the versatility and the way you can kind of flexibility you have.
You guys are down.
And is there a comp to somebody you've worked with in the past with what you can do with him?
Yeah, Elijah's very unique in that he can play in a multiple role position. He has a great skill set physically, but the thing that's been most impressive about Elijah is his ability to function mentally across all the spots we've put him. We've asked a lot of him. We put a lot of responsibility on him, not only physically in putting him in different spots, but mentally he's been able to handle that. So he increases his value for us if he increases his role, and he's certainly played in a multiple role position for us.
Chad, getting Cedric in this room and his size, like what have you seen from him early on?
Yeah, Cedric, the first thing I'll say is the person. He's been great to work with. He's been very coachable. He's worked extremely hard. But it's great to have a player of his size, and we've just been so impressed with the way he's carried, himself as a professional. He's really accepted the mentorship of some of our veteran players and listened closely to what they've said, and I think that's helped him greatly in the process. But he's improved every day, and he's worked extremely hard.
Yeah, when that end of him carrying himself as a professional, though, can you just tell he's a guy who's a former NFL player's kid and just having that quiet?
Yeah, I do. I've had the opportunity to be around his parents, and it's evident and very clear to me on why he is the person he is. He has outstanding parents, and I really have enjoyed my time being around them. And he's just a quality person that brings a lot to us as a player, but he brings a lot to us as a person also.
How do you have so many guys out there who want that ball, and especially now if you get DeAndre Hopkins, how do you keep everybody happy? How's that part of your job go?
Yeah, it's easy to keep everybody happy on the Cleveland Browns in our receiver room because they are very unselfish. We have an unselfish group that puts the team first in everything they do. And as we talked about, competition brings out the best in us, and competition is an advantage that we have if we use it that way to be better. And they've really embraced the competition. We've had a great work so far this spring. They worked hard, but the competition really brings out the best in all of us.
Chad, I think I asked you during training camp to describe the personality of this receiver room because you're going from OBJ,
right,
Jarvis, and you said they're more quiet, not so much as outspoken, but you have some new characters like Elijah and Marquise. How would you describe the room now?
Yeah, I think the room I would still describe as very businesslike, very professional, and that's not a bad thing. They don't say much of anything, but they come out here and they really do try to do what's asked of them. So that's been the joy for me in coaching this group, is that they listen to what you say. They're very coachable, and there's not a lot said in the meetings. We've brought some different personalities and some different players to our team, which I think is always great as you move forward. But they've been outstanding in the meeting room. They're very all professional.
Coach, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Kind of also, when you look at Marquise Goodwin's game, how much do you just see that potential for this group?
Marquise is somebody I've been so impressed with because as he is an older veteran wide receiver, he can still really run, and that's been so impressive. And that's really a testimony to what he's done with his body and his preparation that he's taken, and been very consistent in that area over the years. But it's been so impressive to see him run and be able to threaten the defense with his vertical speed.
Coach, there was that period last year when Deshaun played that there was that kind of feeling of what's he doing? Is he going to throw it? Is he going to run? And that translates to the receivers. Do you have to work on that?
Absolutely, and it's a great point you bring up, and it's something that we've worked really hard on this spring is, there's the play that's called in the huddle, and then there's that second play where the play extends and you're really into a scramble mode. And we've worked really hard on the fundamentals of that. We've had some execution on the field that has been very positive, and I think it's a learning process, and it's something that you need to learn how to do when you have a player with the skill set of Deshaun that's able to have the ability to extend plays and do it so well that we need to be fundamentally sound in that area also. And I think there's some teaching involved in that. We've definitely invested time, and the players have embraced that, and it's been good to see them put that into action and be able to, keep up with Deshaun when he takes off and scrambles.
But over time, too, it just...
Yeah, it's definitely something that it doesn't happen, just overnight. It really is something we need to work on, and it's something that we've emphasized this spring.
I have another Marquise question for you. Now, he's played 9 seasons, but he only has 18 touchdowns. Now, you'd think a guy with that much speed would have more than that. Why do you say that?
I think Marquise has done an outstanding job in his career of playing whatever role that he's asked of him. He's been in different roles throughout his career, and I think the best part of that is, he might have not been a starting receiver at all points in his career, but he's played so well within his role. So I know that when he has the opportunity to make plays this spring, he has made those, and that's been great to see. So I'm excited about him and whatever role we have for him, and certainly he's going to create his own role. If he keeps catching the ball behind the defense, then he's going to have a role for this team.
But are you surprised that he doesn't have more?
I don't even look at the past stats. I just kind of look at where he is for us right now, and I see a player that can contribute to our offense, and he has a unique skill set, can really run and catch the ball, so we're excited about it.
A couple things real quick. What makes Elijah, his skill set so compatible with Deshaun?
Yeah, I think Elijah's unique in his skill set. He has great athleticism, both short area athleticism and his ability to run and have great speed. And the thing that I've been most impressed with him physically is his ability to catch the ball. He has exceptional ball skills and very strong hands. So as well as Deshaun throws the ball and as well as Deshaun throws the ball down the field, Elijah's able to track the ball at all levels of the offense. He can track the ball in that short area and take a ball and catch and run. He can get behind the defense and track the deep ball very well. And especially at his size, being a smaller receiver, he really plays big, in my opinion, and he's got exceptional ball skills. So it fits really well with our quarterback.
And with, not giving away some of the things that we've been seeing, you guys can do some really cool and creative things with him, right?
Yeah, Elijah's been great because his skill set, both mentally and from a physical standpoint, has allowed us to do a lot of different things with him. It's been really a fun guy to coach and to scheme for because of his ability to play in a lot of different positions.
And then I wanted to ask you a little bit about Amari. He seems, lighter, happier. I think that, the core muscle thing was probably weighing on him a lot last year. He just seems like he's kind of in his groove and he's himself again.
I think that last year looking at Amari was like a tale of two seasons. When you saw him physically at the front end of the season, it was obviously different at the end because he was dealing with an injury. And we have a lot of respect, and I know I have a lot of admiration for what he played through at the end of the season because he played and he was injured, and that means a lot, and he cares about the team. But he goes and has the surgery. I think he feels great. It's good to see him back on the grass, and good to see him in really good spirits and confident about where he is physically.
I asked you last year during training camp about the variety of weapons that you had.
Yeah.
And it seems like this offseason you guys have maybe even increased that a little bit more. From your perspective, what does that look like, and how beneficial have these additions been to the roster and to what the offense could be?
It's been great to add the pieces that we have at receiver. I mean, they have been so impressive this spring, and their ability to work with each other has been great. So they're really coming in as accomplished players. Elijah's done a great job of coming in, learning the offense. Marquise, great job of coming in, learning the offense. But they have a skill set that's very unique, both of them. They can run, they can get open, they can catch the ball. So it's been a lot of fun to see them kind of integrate with our other players and see them just kind of fit right in.
I wanted to ask you about Marquise because we also talked about the chemistry, the personalities.
Yeah.
The different guys had different personalities. Marquise seems like that guy. He's out there, he's chippy.
Yeah, I would say right now he's definitely said more than our other guys altogether, which is fine. I mean, my philosophy on that is as long as they come out here and do their job and do what's best for the team and we want them to have fun. We want them to have some energy.
30.
And it's been good for our group because we do have a quiet group personality-wise.
Do you see that on the other side of the ball that you're on, they're chipping at the defense and they're getting each other fired
Yeah.
up. Is that something that you guys talk about as coaches? Like, these guys are getting each other fired up.
We're aware of it. We describe it as energy, and a lot of times it's very positive energy. And I think the main thing, as long as it doesn't take away from their job, is what's most important. And it certainly hasn't. They've been very professional and are able to have fun at the same time.
You have no idea what's going to happen by the time you get to next season. But for now, on June 8th, it is pretty remarkable what Andrew Berry was able to do this offseason to that room.
Yeah.
Transformed it.
And it was priority, I think, clearly number one. Use your second-round pick on it. You got a third back. You use that first pick on the wide receiver room. You brought in the speedy veteran Marquise Goodwin. And I think ultimately that's going to look like – because remember, there's a lot of talk about McCole Hardman. And
yeah.
McCole Hardman, I think, would have been a great addition to our team. But I think you're going to get a lot of what you would have gotten out of Hardman from Goodwin for significantly cheaper. And – Hardman going to the Jets, I think, made it a lot easier for you to get Elijah Moore.
Right. Well, you said that when that happened. I remember you bringing that up about watch out for Elijah Moore. You knew that they liked him, and that was very prescient of you to be able to be on that.
That worked.
Yeah. So you feel that feels like a really dynamic room in the early parts of June, and it feels like there's a lot of diversity and weapons there.
It is, and I can tell you from talking to our DBs.
Yeah.
It is a noticeable difference in the quality of the arsenal that we're trotting out there right now, from like top to bottom. I mean, I'd say in the past we didn't have good receivers. We did. Odell was excellent.
Odell and Jarvis, when they were both healthy, were sensational.
Yes. Yeah. This is now, it's like it's waves. Amari, Donovan. DPJ has become a legit dude.
It's only because of where he was drafted, I think, that if Donovan Peoples-Jones had gone to Ohio State, he would have been a first or high second-round pick, and he would be viewed entirely differently by the public at large.
And he would have come to the league with more opportunity.
That's where I was going.
Yes.
You would have gotten at-bats right away.
Yep.
But because he was a sixth, this was the number one receiver in the country coming out of high school. Like, he is a dude.
And how about the fact that
every way. The first time he did any meaningful – I mean, the block we noticed right away, that game in Dallas. But then in Cincinnati – I mean, those catches he makes as a rookie, like, he's always been a gamer. Like, I don't know why people think that you see this odd, we got to up. No, you don't need to. He's good. He's a dude.
Gibbe trivia, who threw the first pass Donovan Peoples-Jones ever caught in the NFL?
Baker Mayfield.
It's Jarvis, wasn't it?
Yes.
Jarvis.
It was Jarvis against Cincinnati. Those were his first catches.
Jarvis. I love Jarvis.
Oh, my God.
I love him. So great. Yeah. All right, what do we got? Peepaw Gibby, what do we got coming up here?
We're working on it.
Peepaw looks like he's taking a nap over there, and he just chimes in with a wrong answer and then goes right back to
napping.
Back
to his work.
Yeah, right back to his nap.
He's got his work going
on.
I can confirm, by the way.
I'm trying to add more to your plate here for 3 o'clock.
Gibbe was terrified about the situation in terms of the sky. That is for sure smoke. I've seen that.
It is turning yellow.
Yeah, that's the smoke look.
You guys are worried about smoke. Do you read that? You read that thing I sent you about the UFOs?
Yeah, I'm not hard of reading.
Okay. And what'd you come? Did you see the one that looks like it just crashed in Vegas?
I know.
And they got the footage of it?
I know. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this. What are we going to do with this?
Hope they come in peace.
Feels like every 3 or 4
years
it's
been a good run.
This stuff pops up, but I don't know. This does feel like there's more smoke to this.
Let's hope they come in peace.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Be our buddies. We have things to give them.
I'll go hang out with him.
He would be Randy Quaid at Independence
100%.
100%.
100%.
Be flying right into it.
100%.
There's no doubt you'd be doing that.
Yep.
There's zero doubt in that. All right, we'll go around the sports world. Plenty more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Did you watch any of the hoops last night?
Yeah, for a few seconds. And my question to you is this.
I'll answer it.
And I realize he's got, back-to-back MVPs?
He did win back-to-back. He didn't win this year.
This year he lost the Embiid
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I don't think Gen Pub, he gets the due that he deserves. Like
NBA people do. Like people who watch all the time. But no, I mean, he's usually the last pick in the All-Star game, even amongst his peers. He's usually the second to last pick in the All-Star game. Yeah, it's strange. He's so dominant.
He should be not obviously on the level of Jordan or LeBron, but he should be, I feel like, a much more of a household name and people having an understanding of his game than they do. The guy just went out there. I think
it's Denver.
30, 20, 10.
Yeah.
And he does stuff like that on the reg.
Yeah,
he's
pretty
a
consistent.
unicorn.
Yeah. He's
so skilled.
I think it's Denver. A lot of their games at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And I think the other thing you got to remember about them is this is really the first year that they've had Jamal Murray back, and he's a star.
Yeah, and he
had a triple-double last night
34,
too.
10, and 10. Yeah.
Yeah. So now that they have Murray back, now they're like that complete team. The crazy thing about them is they're not going anywhere. Like their length with Porter and Gordon and Braun, the rookie out of Kansas, Brown was great last night.
Yeah, 15.
So they are going to be in the mix for a while, and with their length and with Murray becoming back to what he was in the bubble, which is a star, then it's hard to imagine them not having this perch for 3 to 4 years. They're really very sustainable.
Yeah, and Caldwell Pope's a solid.
Mm-hmm. They'll always
defender.
get guys like that.
Yeah, just get that lanky defender. It's amazing that the Heat won Game 2. Again, I feel like if they had because the Nuggets could have closed that game out. He basically played a flawless fourth quarter to come back from down 8 to win that game. The Nuggets are the better team. I just think Jokic
feels like it's going 5.
And it almost feels like where we are right now with sports, and it's great for us because we deal with the Browns and you deal with the Browns and then the Buckeyes, college football. That mini camps are a bigger deal, and Dalvin Cook getting released is a bigger deal than the fact that Jokic just dropped triple-double in the Game 3 of the NBA Finals.
Some of it is a product probably of our circumstances. But I always do the kid test. Like, are my kids into it? So last night I said to NBC, I said, you want to watch some of the finals? He's like, I'm just not interested in this. And he watched all of it leading up to it. But he has not had much interest in these finals, and I don't know why, because we watched all of the playoffs leading up to it. Obviously, I have a vested interest in the Cavs, and he's like the Lakers because I grew up a Lakers fan, so there's a little bit of that. But then once that died out,
I feel like once the first and second round of the playoffs wrapped, it hasn't been great. Like the conference championship, like Miami, like the
Miami,
Celtics
Boston
making it
went
interesting.
7.
Yeah, but like for the first 3 games,
They were
4
bad
games,
games.
they were
And
awful.
Game 7 was a bad game,
Yeah.
and then the Nuggets swept the Lakers.
Did the Lakers get one, or did
No,
they
I think
sweep
they
them?
swept
No,
them.
I think they swept them.
The games were all competitive, though. They were all competitive down to the last.
Yeah, but like
couple
after
of
that
minutes,
second round when it was Lakers,
Well, you had
Golden
Lakers,
State,
Warriors.
like
You
but
can't-
like
that's
even
tough
in
to
the
beat.
Eastern Conference,
Yeah,
like you had some really
Celtics,
good
Sixers.
matches. Yeah, you had
Yeah.
good stuff. Like I just don't think the quality has been there.
Yeah, and I think also like Miami they're knocking their head up against the ceiling. They don't have anything else they can do. They've thrown everything at him. Barring an injury to Jokic or Murray, there's really no path for them to get back in the series and win more games. They played the perfect game and made the perfect adjustments in Game 2. They threw everything at them yesterday in the third. Like they were pressing them. They played zone. Every time they got into something, Denver just ping, ping, ping out of it. And it's like, well, we can't do this. So there's no real move, I don't think.
He's just
for them. He's good. Really good.
It feels to me, and maybe you could tell me if this is off or this is my age, which we're in the similar ballpark.
Sure.
But it feels to me that if Jokic was doing what he's doing now, and he was doing this in the 80s and 90s, he would be a much bigger deal. As I'm talking household name. I'm talking not in NBA circles. I'm talking just in public circles.
He's, I guess, probably the most similar apples to apples for him from a previous generation is probably Nowitzki, because Nowitzki had that feel. Like
And
Nowitzki
Dirk was a big deal.
He was, But it really wasn't until he won that championship that he really elevated. And it was like, oh, he's unbelievable. This is a 7-footer who can get a shot off from anywhere, like one of the best shooters of all time. Like, that didn't happen until he won it. So I think this is what I think this has all been. This whole playoffs has been a coronation of Jokic, for the casual fan to be like, oh, this is what the two MVPs are about.
Am I wrong to say that if he does what he's doing, let's call it for another 2 years, where he's a legit 5 straight year MVP candidate, his size, wins a championship, maybe wins another, like, is he a guy who's, because of what he is able to do, is he putting himself on the greatest basketball team ever assembled?
So he'd have to, like, nudge out Duncan.
That's exactly who I had in my mind.
That's like what you're talking about. You're talking about, like, Tim Duncan is where you have to push Duncan out of the way. So Duncan won 5 titles with the Spurs, 3 MVPs. So the one thing that
the
Jokic
question is today,
yeah,
is Jokic more dangerous because of his floor, complete using every inch of the floor skill set than Duncan? And Duncan was amazing.
I reject trying to compare generations in that sport.
Yeah.
Because I just think it's impossible. Because you cannot take, I mean, Jokic is a center, okay? Can you imagine if he had to body Shaquille O'Neal? Or if he played in the 90s and it was David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal, Arvydas Sabonis, all those big, powerful, offensive, low post. If he had to do that, what does that look like?
Play.
That allowed physical play, that encouraged
Shaq
physical
couldn't
play.
cover him. Shaq's not running around with him. Young Shaq, sure. But
no, but I mean, he could go out there and
Lakers
get an
Shaq.
arm out. Like, you can't really compare
It's so hard.
it at all. I'll tell you what it is, I mean, what's happened is European influenced basketball is being taught at a superior level than American influenced basketball is being taught. American influenced basketball is being taught primarily at the AAU level. It's being primarily taught via the use of one-on-one
isolation.
Yeah. And what you're seeing is in European basketball, you are seeing movement. You're seeing skill development in terms of shooting. I mean, those things are not being taught to American basketball players anymore. They're not. They haven't been for a long time. So, like, I mean, just do this. Like, try to name, like, who you think could be the next American face of the league. I'll wait. It's going to take you a while.
Oof.
Because right now, it's Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, all foreign.
The answer is if
Wembanyama.
If Tatum gets it together.
He's got to go.
Well, yeah, no doubt.
He's got to go.
Yeah.
If Donovan Mitchell were 22,
maybe.
But he's 27.
Yeah.
Like, because it was Steph and it was LeBron.
Tatum's
but there's not a guy there waiting. Like, Tatum's not going to be Kobe. He's a nice player, but he's not going to be Kobe. He's more like McGrady.
And he's got to be able to prove that he can have some playoff toughness.
You got to
chutzpah.
Stack those things. Like, it's hard to find who that would be.
Yeah. I think what's interesting is, and this is, again, I'm very casual in it, but the guys that have come out super hyped out of college have not materialized in the NBA. And I'll just give you a few names that popped to my mind. Zion, obviously.
Yeah.
Was ready-made, megastar, nothing. He's got his own issues now.
Yeah.
Like Jabari Parker.
Oh, yeah.
I'll even go back, and the guy stayed in the league for a long time. I don't want to say his name. Marvin Williams.
Yeah, the kid out of North Carolina.
Yeah.
He stayed in the league for a long time, but was never.
Well,
there are a lot of guys who are just not.
What happens is like you are picking. So what makes a kid a 5-star prospect coming out of high school? There's a great example of this. Chris Livingston was a kid. He's an Akron kid. I think he played a year at Western Reserve and maybe a year at Buckle, and then maybe ended up at Oak Hill. And then he was a 5-star kid. He ended up at Kentucky. He played last year at Kentucky. Was kind of a bit player at Kentucky. Was a 6-man. Sometimes started. Good player, but was by no means dominant. Well, he declared for the NBA draft. It's like the 59th player, or 50, somewhere between 45 and 55 in terms of ranked. He's going to be a second-round pick. He declared for the draft.
Why?
Because he didn't come here to play school. right? So he'll play G League, he'll do whatever, but that's going to be his path. He wants to be a professional basketball player. So how do you, as a team, project what he will be? Like, he's really raw. He's got the physical tools that you like, but it's trying to project what he's going to be at 24 is so brutal. So, like, that's when you see, like, a Marvin Williams, like the guys you mentioned. Marvin Williams played 2 years at Carolina. He's 6'10", and you go, well, he's got the skill. He was on the team with Sean May and McCants and those guys. Like, there's this physical stuff that he has. We can maybe work on the other stuff. But again, you don't know, and also you don't know what those kids' motivation are. You're taking kids so young. You don't know
what do you do. What's up here?
What drives them? What Look at Ja. Ja was.
He could have been the answer.
He would have been the answer to that. I think he is the answer to that if all of this hadn't blown up in his face in the last 6 months.
Is LaMelo Ball doing anything?
He's okay, but he's hurt a lot.
Devin Booker.
Yeah, but they're not like Giannis.
No.
Ja was the one.
Ja was the one.
But it's also the way he plays is how sustainable is that?
It also feels, and maybe I've missed it, but I feel like we would have talked about it on this show. It feels like Adam Silver is constantly dropping hints about how severe he's going to punish Ja Morant at some point, but then nothing's happening.
Well, he's waiting until after the finals. He has announced the punishment will come down after the NBA finals.
Okay.
Yeah.
He does not want to take away from the finals.
I think unless they're going to say, here's everything else he's done, like if it's just what it is, I think he's on a very slippery slope if he goes harsh on him. And every indication is that he's going to.
Yeah, because
the
he
behavior's legal in the state.
He came out and said, like,
I'm
not going off of a legal precedent. This is an NBA league precedent and how you make the league look.
There are politicians in this country who do that all the time. Flash guns. Are you going to not let them go to an NBA game? Like, I just don't understand how
Christmas cards.
Right. I just don't understand how that's. I don't know. But that's a whole other thing. But he was the answer probably.
Yeah.
He's probably the answer on that. All right. What do we have, Gibbe?
Good Morning Football clip.
There you go. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. client every day. Call 1-800-ELK Ohio. Elk & Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. This morning on Good Morning Football, they asked the question, should we be talking more about the Cleveland Browns? Let's have a listen.
How about that segue?
Yeah.
Time for the lead block.
Lead block.
Yeah,
Nice,
see?
Sarah. Look at that.
I'm giving credit to McCourty. Nice segue. Cleveland continued mandatory minicamp yesterday as Deshaun Watson prepares for his first full season on the field for the Browns.
I'm pretty far ahead of where I was last year. Last year was, as far as football, been on the field, just learning a new system, trying to adapt to, different teammates, different players, how guys run routes, how Kevin calls the plays, and just being able to, process the game at the speed I know. I'm very excited. It's just a lot more responsibility for myself, but I like the weight on my shoulders, and for me to be able to go out there and, show what I got and help me lead this team to a lot of victories, that's where I want to get to.
I got to talk football.
So far this offseason, we have talked Jets, we have talked Steelers, and teams who have missed the playoffs in 2022, but have promising outlooks for this season. Guys that are going to rebound, but we haven't really focused on Cleveland. Should we be talking more about the 2023 Browns?
Browns talk.
I think we should. It's unusual.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. I love the coach. I love what they're doing with the D-line. Let's talk about the quarterback, Deshaun Watson. The fact of the matter is he came back last year and played 6 games, and they were mostly against bad teams. They weren't very well watched. He didn't play very well. But they went 3-3, and that's how they ended the season. Instead of bringing up those clips and saying, look how bad he was, I think it's important at this point on the football field to remember what he was before. Before the world changed, before he changed. This is from 2020. He went 700 days, 700, between playing for the Texans and playing for the Browns. Imagine right now we leave the table today and we don't do another Good Morning Football show till May of 2025. Peter, it sounds like your dream. That's what Deshaun Watson did. 700 days. But I want you to look at these Texans highlights. This is the COVID season, empty stands. It was a terrible, terrible Texans team. They were 4-12. J.J. Watt walks off the field with Deshaun in the last game and tells him, I'm sorry we wasted one of your years of your prime. You know how good Deshaun Watson was? He was amazing. Amazing. You won't believe this. This is a forgotten thing. That year, passer rating, your efficiency, all that, #1 stat for quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers was #1 in the league. Yeah. Okay? He won the MVP that year. Jason McCourty, I'll go back at you. Yep. 31 other starters that year, full-time starters. Rodgers was 1. Where do you think Deshaun Watson ranked in passer rating on a 4-12 team?
Passer rating. 4-12.
Yeah.
You said he was really good.
Yeah.
I'll go 12th.
He was 2nd. Wow. Deshaun Watson passed better than Mahomes that year, than Brady that year. He had 7 interceptions and flirted with 5,000 yards on a 4-12 team. He was absolutely phenomenal. Just phenomenal. Excellent, excellent, excellent season on a terrible year for the team. So listen, we've chewed on a million times why the Browns went and got him, why they paid him what, all the unsavory factors of it. The Browns were looking at it like, God, this guy is good. Yeah. And it's easy to forget with all of the gross stuff and all of the bad football that we saw at the end of the year last year. Sean Watson was like a top 5 player in the league that year on one of the worst teams in football. He's fantastic. And full off season, full time with the Browns, he's probably going to be really good, Peter.
I know, and I think people, just figured he would just shake the rust off of not playing and here, just throw him into the mix. It was really hard. I remember talking to Michael Vick last year about this after he took so much time away from football and comedy. He's like, it's really hard to adjust and just get back into it. It's a year process. Now is the time. And this team now is the time. I know the AFC's loaded. And Sarah, you started this off saying, we talk about the Jets, talk about the Steelers. We talk a lot about the Colts. We talk a lot about the Ravens. None of these teams made the playoffs last year. It is going to be so hard to make the playoffs this year. And yet the Browns have as good a roster as just about anybody outside of Kansas City. You look up and down this roster. Chubb might be the best running back in the league. Amari Cooper's a #1 wide receiver in this league. Myles Garrett might be the best defensive lineman in this league. They're loaded. And they added someone this offseason. Jim Schwartz, defensive coordinator.
Let's go.
It's kind of interesting. Schwartz has this great term that he talks about for his interior defensive lineman. He's looking for Ferraris, not dump trucks. And he wants to go. And remember, when they were in Philadelphia, when they were good then, in Detroit, he would have waves of different defensive linemen. They would just come. You look at this defensive lineman now. Dalvin Tomlinson, obviously. You have now Zadarius Smith. You have Myles Garrett. They have waves and waves of guys. And if I look at Stefanski, hey, Coach of the Year a couple of years ago. Understandable. Things got a little weird the last 2 years. Well, obviously, the Watson thing is the giant shadow over all this stuff. But this, to me, look, as much as we're talking about the Jets and the Ravens and the Steelers are the teams that are going to go from not making the playoffs, Browns have no excuse either. They're really good.
Yeah.
And they have a Coach of the Year as their coach.
Yeah.
And they added Jim Schwartz, who is one of the great defensive masterminds of all time, who came back and said, yeah, I'll do it again. Let's go, one more ride. I don't know. Maybe we should be talking more about the Browns, but we haven't. And maybe that's just how they want it.
The Jim Schwartz is really good to me because you watched Cleveland last year, and they had a ton of talent on defense last year. And remember that Jets game where it just looks like Cleveland's going to win the game and the defense kind of falls apart, giving up big plays. Adding a guy like him can go a long way. So I'm interested to see how that goes.
Jason, can I interrupt? I'm sorry. I've been thinking about the color thing.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
I think I have one.
Okay.
Does this count?
Yeah.
Navy?
Navy.
Yeah.
It's a color.
But,
Yeah.
but doesn't it have to be navy blue? Is navy a color?
Navy's a color.
I got two.
There's
still two left. I got nothing for
I love them doing a dissertation on Dalvin Tomlinson.
Yes.
Kyle's thinking about the naval. Like,
I love Jim Schwartz.
Ferraris, not dump trucks.
That's a great thing. I'm going around all the conferences, being like, they're out there. And then I go, hold on, Navy?
Like, is Akron a color?
Because Navy is a weird one. It's one of the service academies. It's it's like in Monopoly. It's like the utilities. You don't think of them as part of the family.
That's great.
I got
you nailed your Deshaun Watson take and
I
then
thought
came
so.
up
It's like he did his homework and he was having his recess.
He was going to the
both.
weeds about some coordinator. I'm thinking, like, I like that you brought up Jim Schwartz. Like, I'm a big Jim Schwartz fan. Navy.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson, great. And I think you talk about him coming back. Yeah, segue into that. Would you have a color for me to go back to?
No, actually, I was about to just Google a color idea I had. Keep going,
Exactly.
Jason.
And I look at him now coming back, and you talked about 2020. Oh, well, that's 2020. But I look at the surrounding cast around him on offense, and you talked about Amari Cooper. They brought in Elijah Moore, hoping that he can take off coming from the Jets on that side. But then also on the offensive line, whether it's Joel Bitonio, Wyatt Teller, 2 Pro Bowlers last year. Jack Conklin was an All-Pro with the Tennessee Titans. Nick Chubb is there. And to be able to hand the ball off to a running back and let him just do his thing makes things incredibly easy on a quarterback. And so for Deshaun Watson, you come back last year, you knocked the rust off, and now you come back, you have an entire offseason, not only to improve your skill set, but now to get to know the guys around you. Think about what this locker room had to be like last year. Deshaun Watson joins your team all offseason. We're not talking about the Browns this year, right now in the offseason. All we talked about was the Browns last offseason. So for the players, you had Jacoby Brissett there, the awkwardness, all right, now Deshaun's back. Well, Jacoby's been leading us the whole time. There's been no question marks this offseason. Deshaun's the guy. He's improving each and every day. We know him now. We're not answering questions about him after every practice. Now we can focus on football, and I think the Browns are a team that once the games start, we're saying, we're not talking about him now. We'll be talking about him in September.
I actually think they're in a really good spot here because so much attention goes to the Bengals, and that's fine, right? And
Baltimore.
And Baltimore, and especially with the Lamar Jackson offseason, and then he gets the big contract. You know, we were talking about the Deshaun Watson contract a year ago, and now we're talking about Lamar Jackson and his contract. I think they're in a great position sort of being they are the under-the-radar team, but they had 7 wins a year.
30.
The controversy, chaos. And if you go,
They had 7? I had no idea how many games they won last year.
And Watson only played the last few, but we think of it as like him tripping all over himself.
I know.
The whole season.
It was the strangest season.
7 wins. Take those 7 wins over to another division, the NFC South, and you're 1 game off of winning the division. I mean, the NFC South sort of skews everything.
Yeah.
But I think we're not talking about, this wasn't a 2-win team a year ago. This was a 7-win team. And to that point, Kyle, it was sort of quietly 7 wins, right?
Yeah.
So let's.
We've talked about it many times. It's one of those things where it's not going to be until this season that there will be. Everybody just stayed away. It's fine. Stay away.
That's fine.
See you on down the road.
We'll see you on down the road. And listen, you're going to get your answers quickly.
Right away.
Quickly. This is a good team. Now they got to go out there and they got to do it. They got to prove it. School's out for summer. Been a great Friday.
It has been a fantastic.
I'll see you
I'll
both
just say
tomorrow.
That. So
we don't work Saturdays.
The Big Ten 2024 schedule's coming out, so this is when USC and UCLA come in. I am hearing that in year 1, Ohio State will not play USC. And if that is the case, that is the greatest dereliction of duties ever.
They won't
you have
play
one job
at all.
Play those 2 teams in year 1. And from what I'm hearing, they're not going to.
They should be playing.
Sounds like Ohio State. From what I'm hearing, Ohio State is going to play at UCLA. Michigan is going to play at USC, but they are not going to play Ohio State against USC in year 1.
30 seconds.
USC needs to play Michigan and Ohio State.
Of course.
Every year.
Of course.
Period.
Yeah. Especially in year 1. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody.
We'll
see
you
on
both
Monday.
Tomorrow. There is a show tomorrow.
Are you sure?
Browns Daily
It feels
News.
like Friday.
Sure? Feels a lot like a Friday.
Trust me.
What if there's smoke at the undisclosed location?
We're taking plenty of days off over the next few weeks. Just ask Zegura.
Not me.
Not you.
Yeah, he's off for an entire week next week. It's supposed to rain, though, so that's good.
All right. The next level. So that's good. The next level is next. Later, Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.